Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Well, we got people joining. I'm just going to chill out, make sure I get everything ready as we move forward here. Over 300 people have signed up, but we never expect that many. So, hey, if you can, do I have the chat room on? Let me enable the chat real quick here. Hey, if you can hear me, let me know my sound quality is right level and that you can see me. That'd be awesome. I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Okay. We're going to wait a little bit. Got 106 people in. Sounds good. Thank you. Yep. Someone put 59. I'm sure that's probably a ham term. 5 by 5. That's, I guess, I don't know. Unfortunately, we can see you. Joe, that's Joe from Charlotte, I'm sure. Oh, brother. Yep. I'll go full screen in a minute, Joe. You wait. So we'll wait. It's just now turning 8:30. Cowboy is in the house. Dennis. I see Dennis. Karen. Don. Ed, 5 by 9. Paul from Orlando. Hey, yeah, everyone could, as people are joining, why don't you just put where you're from? What city? That'd be great so everyone can see. Beth is in the house. Like I said, we'll get started in a minute. Let everybody get in. Jason's from Charlotte, Fort Worth, Texas, Columbus, Puerto Rico, Toledo, Raleigh, Elizabeth City, Dallas, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Madison, Raleigh, Arizona, Mooresville, Greensboro, Salt Lake City, Texas, Dennis from Boone. Oh, there's Charlie Hogwood, one of my expert council members is online. Saw his name flash through. Major, haven't seen Major in a while. Okay. Oh, it's like another expert council member. Is in Sam Kopler from Texas. Looks like he's in the house. I'm sure there's other ones in here. They've all been invited. So I'm going to go make some adjustments here. Okay. So this evening we're hoping it's not going to take too long. We're thinking an hour and 15 minutes is our goal. Hendersonville, North Carolina, Mike, we see you in the house. Washington State, Rock, Asheville, whatever that means. Ohio, another one from Hendersonville, North Carolina. Rock Hill, went through Rock Hill today. Charlotte. Can you watch? Yes, there will be a replay. It'll be The software will send out a replay, but don't use that link. It's just going to be an automatic link. I will put this up on YouTube where you can stop and start it, or if you leave halfway through on YouTube, you can go right to where you miss off. But on the replay, it doesn't let you do that. You kind of have to watch it from start to finish, and that's really bad. That's just a software issue that the software we're using. So hey, we'll wait one more minute. Blythe, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee. If the screen starts to mess up, the audio starts to mess it up, you can just refresh your screen and it will bring it back up. It's just it's a thing with webinars. It just kind of does that. Polly is in the house. People are already talking to Polly. Everybody knows who Polly is. She's famous. So it's 8:34. As soon as I see that turn 5, we will get started, and you will not be bored. It's going to be fast. I talk fast anyway. We got Natty that's going to be calling in a little bit, and Natty's going to help us with some of this as well. Durham, Polly Rocks. Grant writes Polly Rocks. She's got her own fan club on here. So it's 35. So we are going to start. So temporarily, I am going to shut the chat room down, and then we're going to just get started. I want to welcome everyone. A lot of you guys, this is the first time ever seeing me. I am real. I go by the name Garvin Forrest. My name is actually Forrest Garvin. It was kind of hard to hide. A lot of people have code names. My background and traveling with Bank of America for years and on a speaking circuit before with the banking and technology, it's kind of hard to do something like this and go undercover and come up with a cool name. I mean, don't give me a cool name. I don't want one. But you know, I'm so happy you're here. PrepperNet has been kind of a vision. I didn't know that it was going to grow this fast. So 5 years ago, I started PrepperNet with a meeting at Fuddruckers. It was so noisy. Kids were running around. Video games were loud. We had 5 people because I just needed to meet other people because I was going crazy. I was downtown office, you know, with the bankers, and I needed an outlet to talk to people. So I created this, and since then, people from that first meetup, I know Ellie Mental, she's become one of my best friends, awesome lady here in Charlotte, teaches a lot of my classes, and it's grown to, we were in the Carolinas, had meetings in about 18 different cities or so, just in North and South Carolina, and I was helping other states start their meetups and get them going, and so from that, we decided to change the name from the Carolina Prepper Network to PrepperNet. Since then, we're growing. I've got probably 15 cities now, 16. I got another call today from Oregon. Cities that want to come on board. Some of them are fresh, brand new. Some of them are just really dead groups, hoping we can help vitalize them. So we've been doing this since, I guess, September, so 5 months maybe. Love it. But tonight we're going to do a presentation on equipment that every preparedness person needs. And I'm going to, you know, forgive me for this, but I am going to, let's see how to do this. Boom, there I am. Sorry. I don't want to do this for long for sure, but I think maybe while I'm talking, you guys can see that I am real. I'm not a camera. But so I want to welcome you guys. The vision here is to have people meeting in cities across the United States, training, learning, and growing together. The key is, though, meeting other people. One of my big philosophies, one of my big sayings, if you're not in a group, you're going to die. You've got to be in a group. So you've got to meet other like-minded people and not to go crazy. So you've got to meet them. And the best way to meet them is sit across the table, have dinner with them, do some training, go on, you know, hikes, campouts. That's the best way to do this. So our goal is to get meetings in every single city. So if you're in a city that doesn't have a meetup, call me. Let's start one. If you're in a city that is dead and your meetup has stopped, let me know. Maybe we can come in, take over the existing group so we don't have to start from scratch and get it going again. That's kind of what we're doing. Nothing, I don't know. Everyone in the industry seems to be liking what we're doing. We're not really competing against anyone. And it's a good thing. We're getting out. And the best thing is, you know, everyone believes that Donald Trump kind of saved America. Now we're getting to the idea of going, wait a second. We need to prepare no matter who's in the office, because it's been good kind of for our freedoms, our privacy, somewhat for the last couple of years. But we see the tide turning. And so because of that, I believe the floodgates are going to open and PrepperNet is going to grow out of the roof. And so we got the foundation, been working hard on this. I really do appreciate all my leaders that are helping. So we're going to kind of start going through here, minimize me. So tonight, PrepperNet, yep, went through that. So tonight we're going to have Natty Green. Natty, here's Natty's profile. He's an AmRRON core member. He's going to help us with some of the questions and kind of walk us through a lot of the communication equipment. He just knows a lot more than I do. He'll be joining us here soon. There's his profile. So a lot of you guys, AmRRON people, definitely know who he is. So one of the big focuses as we create this PrepperNet is we're concerned about the future. So we're doing things to make sure that if censorship gets so big that it would kick us off, that's why I need everyone to join the website. I get your email address. Wow. I don't spam you a lot at all. Actually, I don't spam at all, but we need your email address. One day it's going to happen. They've already censored Franklin Graham. They apologize, but it's the algorithm that is doing it. It's easy for me to say. Alex Jones, there are people disappearing all the time on the internet. And we just need to have a way to communicate throughout the United States. We're going to do that one way with AmRRON and their communication plan. We're also going to be able to do it even if we get banned from all the different social medias. We'll be able to have your email address and we still got a plan to communicate, even if we're kicked off the internet, which I don't see that happening, but there is an issue. So I got a poll question I want to ask you guys, if y'all don't mind. The first question is this: does censorship concern you? If you look over there to the right, you can answer the questions. I'll give you guys I'm not sure if you guys can see the bars going back and forth, but I'll let you guys know, what the numbers are and the percentages. But does censorship of the internet concern you in the future? I'll give you guys some time. I'm telling you, we're at 95% are saying yes, it concerns them. So good. It's not just me. I'm not the crazy one. I will post all these statistics on the website as well. We're at 96%, 95% of you guys are saying internet censorship concerns you. And I think it should concern us all. So, okay, 96% is what we're at right now. That is amazing. That's a very high number, 96%. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. So that is okay, 96%. Next slide. So that's why I need your email. At least join PrepperNet, a basic membership. So I want to talk about this a little bit. PrepperNet is going to connect preppers throughout the United States. Yes, we're going to have the local meetups where you can meet people within your own neighborhood. I told this story a bunch of times, but I'm going to tell it again. My survival group, we had a young lady that was going to attend the University of Alabama. I knew no one in that area. How do you find another prepper in that area? And then not only find them, build trust and know that, they're good people, that you can trust them with a survival group member's daughter that's been a concern. So one of the things that we're doing in PrepperNet is when you log in, we get your email address, we get your zip code. That zip code we're going to use, but we're going to protect your identity 100%. So the software has been written. So everyone that's joining PrepperNet, we're getting your zip codes. If you put the wrong zip code in there, go in there and edit your profile. It does no one any good whatsoever if you put a bad zip code in. Put your zip code in. And so the software has been written. It's been tested. I haven't released it yet. It will be released soon. So you'll be able to go on there and you can say, you know what? Who's in my area? We don't have a meetup. Who's in my area? How many people are in my area? My zip code. You can go through the software, search, put your zip code in. I'm going to make one up because it's local down the street. 28277, I think, is one of them. It will tell you how many people are in that zip code. It will actually map it out on a map on Google Map. It's not using anything but zip codes. So that one of the PrepperNet logos could represent 1,000 people in that one zip code. So don't look for your address. Don't look for your house. Just look for your zip code. And if you got the zip code in there, that means we got it from the database. So you can look out throughout America. The number of P's for PrepperNet, our little logo, doesn't mean how many members we have. That's how many zip codes are represented. I know in my zip code, there's like 5 or 6 members, but there's only one logo representing us. So imagine I can go and search my zip code and it will say 5 members of PrepperNet are in my zip code. Then I can fill out a form. I put in my name, my email address, my optional phone number, and a message saying, hey guys, we all live in the same zip code. I'm trying to connect. Would you like to connect? Here's my information. You hit submit. You never see their information. It goes to their email box, and if they want to reply, they reply. That protects everyone's identity. The only time you give up your identity is when you are, 1, wanting to connect with someone, or 2, they sent you a message, you want to respond. So imagine now we have this young lady in Alabama. I can look up the zip codes in that area, and I can send a message. You it randomly picks 10 if there's more than 10, and I can send a message and let the people respond. If they don't respond, I can't help you. If they do respond, then that can start a relationship where you can get to know them. I know the family in my group has met with them now twice. They've been out to dinner with them. They've put together a plan. There's some trust there. There's a religious background bond that they have as well. So that's working out good. So it completely protects everyone's identity. And only time you give up your identity is when you want to connect with someone. There's no other software like that out there. So the more members we have of PrepperNet, the better our database is. We actually protect the database. So the actual information we send and use for Google to put it on the map is actually just zip codes only. So you can't actually go from that map and email someone. We have to separate the data. So then if you want to go, you found someone in your zip code, you see there's a logo there. Then you go back to the website. There's a username, a password to get into the software. Once you get into it, you search for your zip code, shows you how many you send your message. It only allows you to do 1 a day. I don't want any spamming. So only 1 email a day. Then after 5 emails, you can do them in 5 in a row, it shuts your account down. Then I have to go in there and unlock it. And what I will do is I'll go and look at your message. I'll look at every single message, and I'll look at your messages to make sure you're not spamming, make sure you're really searching for people in an area that is important to you. And then once I see that, I will clear the account and you can do it again. So there's a lot of safeguards in there because I want you guys to feel good about that when I release it. And I'm going to do a video on that. So there's no questions. So you guys will just be able to watch the video, understand, and do it. So that is coming soon. It's already built and tested. So I need everyone. I do want to go through this. This is our expert panel. I went out and tried to put the best people that I could find in the industry, that we have a kind of a common goal. Our goal is to help people to come together and unite. And all these leaders are incredible. They've been, they've been very supportive. I know probably an hour today with Charlie Hogwood on the phone. We were just talking back and forth, but these people should be well known to you guys. I'm going to open up chat just one quick minute to make sure everything is going good. If there's not, just let me know in the chat room. But I'm going to go through some of these. JJS from AmRRON, unbelievable communication plan, faithful members of his group. Scott Hunt from Practical Preppers, Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy, Charlie Hogwood, Glenn Tate, Shelby Gallagher, Sam Kopler. Some of these are online. I know they are. Some of them already text me. Survivor Jane, Rick Austin, Franklin Horton, Ryan Mitchell, which is overseas right now, I believe, and Brian Duff. And so these are some of the best names. A lot of people. I mean, we're going to add a couple more. I'm in the process of interviewing them, and these people will bring benefit to everyone here, without a doubt. So these people, again, we're one unified. We got some amazing things that we're creating as well, even outside of PrepperNet. But these guys, when you talk to them, thank them for being and helping us. Each of them brings unbelievable things to the table. So are you a member of PrepperNet.com? If you're not, I need you to join the basic. At least it's free. Now, these webinars will roll over to members only here soon. And you know what? This is not a pity party, and I don't want to have one, but this costs a lot of money. I've forked all this money out myself. We're talking over $10,000, which is fine. If I don't make my money back, the cause is still good. But if you want, I'm charging $100 to start a city, because there's upfront cost to start a city. And then to join our premium membership is $40 a year. Hey, if you can't afford it, I understand. I completely understand. Don't do it. If you can help out this cause, I think it's a great one. My leaders are behind me. You guys have been great. I can't complain whatsoever. Things have been growing unbelievable. That's my little sales pitch there. If you're join a group, if you're not, here's our map of all the zip codes. So you can see where, of course, North Carolina and South Carolina were, we started there, but we're growing. And then if there's not a group around you, contact me. I'll put you in the queue, because we got a lot of people that are wanting to start. So we've partnered up with AmRRON. AmRRON has these 2 videos you must watch, though. They're called Comms Up. There's 1 and 2. I know they have one video that has both of them. Everyone in this room should watch these videos. It's called Comms Up. If you go to AmRRON, look it up. It's kind of I don't know. They kind of put it real to life and then tell you why you need communications. And 2 years ago, to me, communications was dead. Just was. I've seen the light, and I understand why it's so important. And I'm hoping Natty's going to call in here anytime now, so he can do his part. So next question I have for you, since we do have a lot of AmRRON people, are you a member of AmRRON? So I need you to go ahead and respond there. Are you a member of AmRRON? Okay, people voting. We got right now, yes and no's are, 45%, 50% say no, 20% say they need more information. Yes is 28%. Yeah, AmRRON people, you guys are faithful. Man, we need you guys bad. we need you AmRRON. As the polls keep going, I'm going to keep it up for another second. We need an AmRRON member in every single city to help with our communications and help train. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll now. So 50% say they're not an AmRRON member, 20% say they need more information, which we will get you more information, and 30% say that they are a member of AmRRON. That's awesome that so many people are a member of AmRRON. So that ends that poll. So let's go to the next slide. Oh, if you do buy anything off of Amazon, AmRRON has a affiliate link. I know probably Glenn Tate has one. Probably all our expert council has a affiliate link. What that means is you're going to pay the exact same amount, but we get like 4%, which is literally nothing, but it helps support us. I was thankful someone last year bought it like a $1,500 watch off of Amazon, and somehow I got credit for that, which is amazing. But go and look. I mean, I know, like I said, AmRRON has one. We get 4%. PrepperNet gets 4%. You can go to our store. So I'm announcing a giveaway. We are getting ready to give away. We got 2 grand prizes. We're going to give away a complete set of conflicted cards, and we're going to give away a board game set. This will be posted immediately after the webinar on our Facebook site. You can go and register, and you can get all kinds of points by referring people, by liking their Facebook page, by watching a video of Conflicted. So Conflicted, I love Conflicted. Everyone loves Conflicted. So, you know, I have all the decks, so I would love the board game, but a lot of you guys have already told me you want the decks. But we're giving complete 10 decks away, or the board game. So you'll win one or the other. They're doing a deck 11. Not yet, but it's going to be a PrepperNet deck. We've been in talks for months, but they're wanting to get their board game out. So we're finishing up on our end to get them what they need. So that is coming soon. But hey, that giveaway will be posted on PrepperNet's main Facebook page immediately afterwards. So let's go to the next. Okay, I am Natty. Are you online?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, awesome. Everyone, this is Natty. Natty, why can't we see your beautiful face?
Well, I try to maintain some OPSEC, so I never really show my face in an unsecure setting. So sorry, folks, but that's the way I roll.
That's the way he rolls. So Natty, can you, from your screen, can you control the slides from there?
I believe I can. Let's see.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Oh, so, should I? Oh, wait, I was going to start this.
Okay, go ahead.
Isn't this me? I think this is me. Hey, guys, I always say this. If you have no communication plan, you will never talk to family and friends that live 250 miles away. If there's a grid down or the power goes out, you will never talk to them. That's why communications are so important. So you think, well, I'll go and get them. No, they're going to probably come and find you. Oh, you think you're going to be at the same house that you're at currently? Well, maybe you do. But if you don't have a plan, meaning a communication plan and like a bug out plan that your family members know about, you will never talk to them again without ham radio. The grid, I mean, it just won't happen. And I know, matter of fact, I got a poll question. Do you agree with me? And so let's go to the poll question here. If I can get it to come up here. Oh, wait, I got to do this. Reset the poll, start the poll. Okay, do you agree? And let's publish it. Do you agree with my statement? If a grid down happens and your family members are 250 miles away or more, you will never talk to them again. Because if you agree, then you'll understand why communications are so important. I'll just tell you right now, it's in the 90s of people agreeing with me. So yeah, I'm not far off on my statement here. We'll let it go for another couple of seconds here, but 94% say they totally agree. Down to 91%. Natty, you see these numbers? You probably. I mean, it's crazy. Everyone agrees with me. Okay, I'm going to end that poll. So everyone agrees, 91%, 90% agrees with my statement. Great. That's awesome. So also, information that you don't know can kill you. You got to know what's going on. You just have to. So do you agree with that? We'll reset the poll. Last question, I believe, is do you agree that information you don't know can kill you? We start, okay, let's let some more come in. We're at 100% right now, so come on, someone's got to vote no. Gosh, we're still at 100%. Information you don't know can kill you. Do you agree? Wow. It's still at 100%, guys. And I mean, the votes are coming in. So I'm going to let that stay a little bit because I know that there's, you know what? I'm so impressed. I mean, over half the people that have signed up are on this webinar. That statistic is crazy when you compare. Oh, finally, we got 99% agree with this. So I'm going to end this poll. So over half the people that have signed up to be on this webinar are actually in the room now, which is, thank you guys. This is great. So the end was 99% agrees with that statement. So I'm going to end that poll, reset it. And so as you go through this, know that 1 is none and 2 is 1. That means you got to have a backup to everything. So when Natty goes through this ham equipment, just know that, and I'm sure he'll talk about it, you got to have backups to everything. And some of these are backups to other things, but at first we just need to get the equipment, then we'll work on backups as well, because some of this stuff costs money. It's not expensive. And so I was going to tell, I was going to move this to the end, but hey, you got to have a way of solar. You got to have a way of charging your items before we get into the actual items. This is kind of like, hey, you got to have this. I got some solar panels. This presentation, like I said, is all going to be up. You can watch this later. This is some solar panels that it's 28 watts. It's 3 USB, 5 volt. They have 12 volt as well. I like this one. This is the exact panel. One of the exact panels I have. I have several. Sunjack was a sponsor of mine for a while, but I have this one because it's 28 watts. I love that. It's $64. The next thing is you got to have some kind of battery backup. This one's a great one. I actually have this. So everything you see in this presentation, I own except the antenna tuna at the end, a couple things at the end. This one's $49. You can, so your solar can charge this, that can charge your radio. So anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I want to listen to Natty. You got to have a battery bank. Now, these are the new and improved Envelope Pro batteries. And what you want, though, when you get this, you want to get the charger that has a USB. That's important. So you don't, because most of the chargers actually have a, it has to come from an AC, and you don't want to have to use an inverter. Just trust me, you want to get the charger that has a USB. This with the these Envelope batteries can be charged thousands of times. I know at least 2,000 times, and they hold their charge for a long period of time. But make sure, again, when you get a charger, and make everything AA, everything AA, everything AA. You can get little inserts for the other size batteries, but make everything AA that you get. Get the Envelope Pro. There's some other good ones, but Envelope are just the best. But get the charger that you can use, the USB, because you can use your solar panel now to charge these batteries. I think that's my last statement on that. And I think we're going to go to, okay, I think this is the last question. I hope so, because here we go. Oh, I got 2 more questions. Sorry, Natty. Do you have a ham radio? Yes or no? Currently, do you have a ham radio? I'm pretty confident that all the AmRRON people are going to answer yes. So, oh yeah, we're in the 80s of yes. That's going down to the 70s. So we'll leave this open for just about a few 30 more seconds or so. Yes, that's good. I mean, people have communication. So it looks like, 75% of you guys have some type of a ham radio. Okay, as soon as I see the bar stop moving, it's pretty much stopped. So I'm going to end the poll. 75% say you have a ham radio. 25% say you don't, which brings up our next question and final question of the night. And there'll be no winners, but participation is appreciated. Do you have a ham license? A lot lower. It's 50-50 roughly.
It's fluctuating.
Yeah.
Bouncing around. People not sure if they have one or not, or
well, I think all the AmRRON people do. So that was 30% of our population anyway tonight. So so it's kind of steady at 54% say they do have their ham license. 47% now say they don't. So it's going to be, it looks like it's going to end up 50-50. So 53-48, which doesn't even add up, and that's what it has. So we're going to end that poll. So it's roughly 50-50 of you guys. So that's awesome that we have so many that has their ham license. So at this point, Natty, I'm going to mute me out and let you talk. And in a few minutes, I'll open up the chat and let people, if they have questions, I'll watch for questions and we'll interrupt you as you go. Sound good?
that's awesome. That works for me. Okay, hi everybody. This is Natty Green, and I am a AmRRON core member, a founding member, a charter member. I've been with AmRRON since the very beginning. Been a long road, but it's a great organization, and I've been with Forrest when it was Carolina Preppers Network for I think we're going on about 2 years now. So I want to preface these recommendations that we provide you with a couple of things, and that is, if you have a ham license, more than likely, if you have equipment and you're using it, you're probably going to disagree with some of the things on this list. And I want you to understand that when we looked at these items, we looked at redundancy. Redundancy is very important. In particular, the Baofeng UV5R, you can pick these up for about $25 now. I just recently bought 5 of them. I have other handhelds that put out the same kind of power as this Baofeng. I've got a Kenwood that cost me $400. So let me pose a question to you: is how mad do you think I'm going to be if I accidentally drop that Kenwood in a lake versus a Baofeng? So with the Baofeng, I can easily go back into my closet. I can grab another one that's already pre-imaged, ready to go, and I may have 10 more sitting in the closet. So the Baofeng isn't the best quality radio. It's kind of a hit and miss on the manufacturer's quality of them, but overall at $25, I can get probably 15 of these compared to my one Kenwood. So and the one thing that we want to tell you is that there's a lot of different UV5R models out there. If you go to Amazon, eBay, you're going to see a lot of different looking radios. And what that is, in a capitalist society, we've obviously seen, people have seen a great opportunity here. So you'll see, the 2019 model of the UV5R, or you'll see new and improved model, and all that does, it's just selling points. The UV5R that you would buy today on Amazon is the same one you would have bought 4 years ago. And that's about how long they've been on the market, and they've really taken the market by storm. I would say a lot of ham radio folks hate these Baofengs. I would contend that the Baofeng saved ham radio. It introduced a price point that folks finally realized they could get into a skill set that didn't require a huge investment. And then from there, for $25, you can decide, do you want to move on, or you just want to stay with that and has it as part of your prep. So the radio itself comes pretty, it comes with about everything that you need. The only thing it doesn't come with is a programming cable, and we're going to get into that. But there are a few Baofeng models. The UV5R currently right now on the market tends to be about the cheapest one you can buy. So in terms of price point, that's why we recommended this. And there's other radios. There's a radio just like this that's 8 watts. Technically it's 7 watts, but they advertise 8. I would tell you that you have to consider the increased wattage is going to be more drain on your battery. I will tell you that that UHF and VHF are ground wave signals, meaning they run parallel with the ground. So if you're not getting out with a 4-watt signal, 7 watts isn't going to do you any better. The same obstacle is going to be in your way. If you get to a high enough point, 4 watts is not, there's not going to be a great amount of performance difference between 7 watts and 4 watts. Okay. And I say 4 watts because they advertise 5 when they're really 4. So just understand that. Don't fall for don't fall for it. The 4 watt will, it gives you a nice balance of signal and draw on your battery. Okay. So one of the things about the Baofeng, it comes with a stock antenna that's pretty horrible. It's if you ever, you could crack one open when you get it, and there really isn't anything inside but a little wire. We highly recommend that you upgrade that antenna to a Nagoya 771, and it's approximately 15 and a half inches long. And we recommend this. There's 2 main antennas that Nagoya provides, and we recommend this one over the other because in ham radio, it's a generally accepted rule that the longer your antenna, typically the more gain you're going to get. That's not 100% always true, but it's a good practice. You're going to get a better signal out of this 15-inch antenna than you are a 7-inch antenna. The drawback is that if you carry this a radio, a lot of folks that have a plate carrier, if they carry this radio on a plate carrier, that antenna is just smacking you in the side of the head. If you put it on your belt, your waist is constantly putting tension on the base of this antenna, and it can shorten the life of the antenna. So those are some things you have to kind of consider. But overall, the better performance is to have this 15-inch antenna over any others. Now, I want to warn you, though, Amazon and eBay do not have a very good system in place to weed out counterfeits. And in ham radio antennas, the Chinese have perfected the counterfeit market when it comes to these antennas. I would highly suggest that you stick to Amazon, 1, because it has a great return policy, but 2, because you can order this Nagoya antenna and know that you're getting, you can order it from a seller called Nagoya and know that you're getting it from Nagoya. In eBay, it might say that it's Nagoya, but there's no proof, there's no promise that it is. Amazon, you're increasing your odds a lot better. So I would stay with, when you get any equipment here, that you stick with the seller of that equipment. So Nagoya antennas made by Nagoya, make sure the seller is Nagoya themselves. Baofeng on Amazon, they go by BTEC. That's the American distributor of Baofeng, or they go by Baofeng as a seller. Stick to those. Don't go with third-party sellers. You're really asking for trouble if you do. Okay? And again, these antennas here, currently the genuine Nagoya antennas have a silver lettering on them. The fake ones have a blue. The Nagoyas have a flat matte black finish, and the fake ones are a little bit shinier. So if you know what you're looking for, it's not hard to point them out. If not, again, stick with Nagoya as the seller of them. Okay. So we move on to the BL5 AA battery pack. And the idea here is that you can use the same form factor as a lithium-ion battery that Baofeng provides. It looks just like this case, but you can substitute the gel pack inside with AA batteries. Now, I wanted to give you a little bit of insight about this particular platform. The OEM Baofeng battery is 7.4 volts. Now, I don't want to get too technical with you. I want to keep it simple so that you should be able to follow along with this. But this holds 6 batteries. A AA alkaline battery is 1.5 volts. With 6 of them, you would equal 9 volts. That's too much power, and the Baofeng circuitry will recognize that, and it won't allow you to transmit. So what you have to do here, if you're going to use alkaline batteries, is you have to substitute the 6th battery for a dummy battery, meaning one that provides the contacts, the positive and negative contacts, but there's no cell inside. And those 5 that you get will give you 7.5 volts total power. So by 7.5 volts, the Baofeng it deems that as being accessible, and it will power up, and it will allow you to transmit. However, keep in mind, alkaline batteries are a one and done proposition. Once they're drained, it becomes quite dangerous to try to recharge them. I know people say that you can, but so we highly suggest that you use rechargeable batteries. The thing about rechargeable batteries is it's a trade-off. It's a very small trade-off. You get to recharge the battery several times, but each battery is only 1.2 volts. So that equals 7.4. Okay? I'm sorry, 7.2 volts. In this case, you would be able to use all 6 slots in this case to carry 6 AA batteries. You come up with 7.2 volts, you're fine. We recommend going back to Forrest's recommendation with the Envelope Pro brand. We recommend that brand because for this particular application, because the Envelope Pro has a very good tolerance to extreme cold conditions. Cold weather is an enemy to stored power. Okay, to a DC power, it's a nightmare. That's why it's always, if you're ever going to have a weak battery, you usually find out in the wintertime, the colder it is, that you can't start your car. With the Envelope Pro brand, the recharging life, it can be recharged many more times than its competing brands. Okay, and one of the biggest factors you have to consider with the rechargeable battery is that when you set it off to the side and you're not using it, 2 weeks from now, is it still going to have its full charge? And Envelope batteries are renowned to be able to hold it upwards to 85% of their power over months and months. So you may get and the reason why we say this is because, you know, if you're using solar power to charge your batteries, you may only get one good day in a week to utilize your solar panels and really get good juice out of them. So when you're going to charge up all your batteries while you can and set them off to the side to use throughout the week. So that's why that's a consideration to make. Okay. But again, alkaline batteries, you can only use 5, and one of them has to be a dummy battery. If you use rechargeables, you can use all 6. Just something to consider. So we have what we call a battery eliminator. These things are really great. It eliminates the need for smaller batteries that don't last as long, and the need to recharge the OEM battery that comes with it. However, understand that you are constrained to this coiled cord. Hopefully everybody on this phone call is old school enough to remember the days before cordless phones. and trying to get privacy from mom when you talked to friends. So that's a constraint that you have. You have to remain near the power source and only get about a 3-foot range past that. And of course, the more tension you put on this over time, you shorten the life of it. So you literally have to sit by your power source when you use this. A cigarette lighter, a generator, whatever you have that has a cigarette lighter platform. Okay, so just consider that. Since the battery eliminator utilizes the same space on the radio as the battery, you wouldn't be able to charge anything. This is a proposition where you are exchanging one for another. So if your battery's dead, your OEM battery is dead, and you go to this, if you're not charging that battery by other means, it's still dead when you get done using this eliminator. Okay? Again, all these things to keep in mind. So we have a programming cable, and this programming cable is, it's just great when you have a Baofeng radio. However, going back to the issue we have with counterfeits, it isn't so much that there are counterfeits of this cable. The problem is that the drivers, the Windows drivers that this cable uses to interface with the operating system, when you buy a genuine Baofeng cable, Windows already has the driver for it. And almost always it will recognize it and allow you to have use of it. When you use a cheaper aftermarket cable, usually you have to download a driver. We call them prolific driver. And when you download that, a lot of times there's a COM port issue. You have to do a little bit more. It'll work, but a lot of times it's not just simply a plug and go like the genuine Baofeng cable. So my point is, make sure you, in this particular instance, that you get the genuine Baofeng programming cable. And like this photo shows, it has Baofeng written on it. And if you buy it at Amazon, you buy it from BTEC or Baofeng seller, you're going to get the real deal. And most people really don't ever have an issue when they use these genuine cables, okay? So, again, it provides a very quick and easy method to program any Baofeng radio. It will work on all Baofeng radios. The software that we use is freeware called Chirp. And this cable will allow you to interface with Chirp. And it basically provides like an Excel spreadsheet that you lay out your channels, whether they be simplex or repeaters where there's offsets and tones. You're able to do all that in kind of a spreadsheet orientation and then write that to the radio. You can give each channel a name. The problem with that, though, is that I have found that people get used to the name and not the frequency. You ever have a problem with your radio, all you remember is the name. You don't remember the frequency that it was on. However, I would highly recommend, while this provides some convenience, it's still important to learn your equipment. In every piece of equipment you have, learn your equipment. And that means with this radio, with the Baofeng radio, you want to learn how to program at least a simplex channel in using the keyboard. Okay? Typically with a simplex channel, you just dial to it and start talking. But you may use some security measures that the Baofeng radio provides, like tones, things like that, to help secure your radio. You can imagine during an SHTF event, there's going to be, everybody has a Baofeng radio these days that's anywhere in the realm, in the prepping realm. By adding just a tone to your channel, all the other listening radios have to have that tone in order to open up their radio to hear you. So it's just an added little measure of OPSEC that you can afford your group. And so if you can program that tone and a signal, you're a person, you know, and you don't need a laptop, you don't need Chirp. I would say that you are a pretty competent person and can keep your team's radios operational. Okay. So the USB power cable, you know, you'll need the charging cable, the cradle to use this charging cable. Okay, as you can see the end of it, it doesn't have the two what we call a Kenwood connector to be able to plug directly into the radio. You have the USB end, and then the other end you have to plug into the back of the cradle. Now, that gives you, provides you with some convenience of having more options and more power sources to use to draw power from for charging. However, bear in mind that most USB ports typically provide 0.5 to 2 amps of power. A cigarette lighter receptacle in a car has an output of, it can actually be more than the 12. Most car batteries should be at about 13.5 to 14 volts. Cigarette lighters in the newer cars can be as high as 15 volts. I'm sorry, 15 amps. So bear this in mind, the difference there, the amount of charging time that it will take. Okay, so if you were to plug this cradle into a laptop, it's going to take a while to charge your battery. If you plug it into one of these cigarette lighter adapters and plug it to the cigarette lighter, you're probably going to get a little bit better performance. You're not going to get 15 amps straight to what the cigarette lighter offers, but I think you get the idea. Keep in mind that when you have a radio in the cradle, you cannot transmit while it's in the cradle. When it senses a power source hitting those contacts in the back of the radio, the transmit section of the radio cuts off. You can only receive a signal. So while this is charged, and don't think you can have it, it's got a dead battery, you can have it in the cradle on the counter, and you can reach over and push the button and talk into the radio while it's charging. It's not, the radio won't let you do that. Okay. So this is probably one of the best things you can have if you have a radio, especially a handheld, that you can have in your bug out bag, and that is a dual band roll up Slim Jim antenna. Okay. Typically these antennas they come with about 10 feet of coax. So overall length, you're looking at, it's about 20 feet. So the idea being in mind is remember what we said, since FM is ground wave signal, meaning the signal runs parallel to the ground, signal strength can be greatly affected by obstacles like buildings, terrain, dense foliage. The signal will go farther in the wintertime than it does in the summertime. A radio with more power is not going to overcome this fact. So 50 watts, 5 watts, if the obstacle's there, it's still there. You have to move your radio to a higher point. If you can't get to a higher point, your only option is to increase the height of your antenna. And that's where this comes into play. So you roll it out on the end of the antenna, you tie 550 cord. You get, probably, we want you to have 100 feet of 550 cord. You tie a rock on the other end of the 550 cord, and you throw it as hard and as high as you can up a tree. Goes over a branch, comes down the other side, and you just pull your J-pole up. Screw it into your radio, and now your antenna is 20 feet in the air versus 6 feet in the air. So you can imagine that sometimes that 20 feet might be the advantage you need to get past the obstacle that you're hitting. You might not be able to see the obstacle. You throw it over, if you still can't get a signal, that's probably a good idea that you need to move to a higher elevation, that there is something blocking your signal, and it's taller than 20 feet. So if you go to the highest point that you can see and perform this operation, it literally can mean the difference in miles. If you're on top of a hilltop overlooking a valley, everybody in that valley can hear 5 watts. Unbeknownst to a lot of people think a repeater, a ham radio repeater, is hundreds and hundreds of watts. It must be. In North Carolina, we have Mount Mitchell. It covers, I think, 6 states. It must be a couple hundred watts. Actually, it's not. The antenna on Mount Mitchell is only 35 watts. 35 watts covers 6, 7 states. And the reason why is because, well, it's at a couple thousand feet above everything else around it. So these antennas, these roll-up antennas, usually if you see them online, they're going to try to offer you one in either 2 meter, or they're going to offer you one in 440 or 70 centimeter. I will tell you that more often than not, you're going to talk on 2 meter. Now, there's some differences between 2 meter and 440, but when you're outside and considering your power limitations, 2 meter doesn't require as much power to get as far. You're just more susceptible to obstruction from foliage and hills, whereas 440 kind of helps out a little bit there. Okay. Let me go back for a second here. Now, there is one brand that, there's a brand called Nelson. We highly recommend it because it's very well made. The soldering connections and the coax, what it is just coax line that has been soldered to twin lead line, what we would call TV antenna line, 300 ohm antenna line, you know, and that solder point between those, and with heat shrink over it. Sometimes if you buy one from somebody's garage, you just never know what you're going to get. Nelson's a pretty good solid bet that it's going to be very well made, and that little bit of tension of throwing it over a tree is not going to break it. Okay. So again, we recommend not so much that you have to get Wild Wolf brand. We just want to give you an idea here, but you want it to be 550 cord. 550 because it's rated at 550 pounds, as well as you have 7 strands running inside of it. Smaller strands that you can use for fishing line, you can use for suturing, you can use it for a host of needs. The uses for 550 cord far exceed the threshold of this webinar. So, but in ham radio, oftentimes we will use it for shelter, and we use it for our antennas. You can get it just about anywhere. Just make sure that it's 550 cord. Now, so shortwave radio. A shortwave radio is one of the most powerful tools you can own in your communications toolbox. A shortwave radio affords you an intel advantage outside your affected area. The fact that it's a receive only, meaning you can't broadcast from it, you can only listen, ensures that there is no threat to your OPSEC. You're only listening, you're not giving away your location. You can't get much better in OPSEC than that, and you're obtaining the same information. You're getting it farther away than you would your Baofeng, and in some cases your HF unit, okay? Now, this particular Texum PL880, we recommend it for several reasons. One is that it has digital signal processing, so the received signal is cleaned up quite a bit, and it sounds better. The radio is compact. It only weighs 1 pound and 3 ounces. It's very easily stowable. In this particular brand or this particular model, it provides a full range of coverage for, on AM and FM, long wave and short wave, and it has single sideband capabilities. And that single sideband capabilities is very, very important, because a single sideband signal is only it's less than half of a signal. So there's not as much overhead required to get that signal out. So it's going to go farther every time. It doesn't sound like stereo, but you can hear what somebody's saying on single sideband for sure. You can expect with this radio to receive worldwide broadcasts, as well as everything, you know, from local to worldwide and everything in between. There's not going to be too many other pieces of equipment that you'll have in your comms arsenal that can provide you the capabilities that a simple shortwave has. And the great thing about shortwave radio is you don't have to have a license. You really don't even need the training. You just turn it on and you just dial until you hear a signal. You listen to it long enough, it's pretty quick to find out where it's coming from. When SHTF were to happen, you're going to see a lot of guerrilla stations show up, meaning a lot of off-grid broadcast stations appear. And they're going to be providing a lot of intel about what's happening in their area. Me and Forrest are located in the proximity of Charlotte. I want to know what's happening in Florence, South Carolina, and Columbia, South Carolina. I want to know what's happening in Richmond, Virginia. I want to know what's happening in Nashville, Tennessee. So I have a pre-warning of what's coming my way. And this radio will absolutely ensure that you'll be able to do that. One of the two things about a radio that is the most important is that we judge the quality of a radio is its sensitivity and its selectability. This radio ranks at the top on both of those. It has excellent sensitivity, which is the radio's ability to pull in weak signals into an audible level, in an intelligible level that you can understand what's being said. It has excellent selectivity, which is the radio's ability to separate one signal from the other. Nothing's worse than having two signals of the same strength coming in side by side. It sounds like a room full of people screaming. So that's why we recommend this. It's very easy to use. You have the keypad. It runs off of a single lithium ion battery that's included. The size is an 18650. They're very common battery. You can pick them up for just a few dollars each. I have probably a dozen of them. All my flashlights in my AO operate on 18650s. They're easily rechargeable, and I have some 18650s that are running in about 3,500 milliamp hours. So that's quite a long time. I've gone months on a single battery in my flashlights easily, and my kid plays with them. And so anyways, the radio has a built-in charger. It has a mini USB port for charging. So a lot of the newer phones use USB-C, but there's a lot of equipment out there that uses mini USB. All you need is just a USB cable with a mini USB, and they're everywhere. You will always be able to barter for one. You'll always be able to find them. I'm sure everybody listening here has got at least 2 or 3 in your house. That gives you the USB in that you can then plug into a cigarette lighter adapter, draw off your car battery, off your generator, and be able to recharge that battery. That's really important that it has a built-in rechargeable battery and a charging platform within it. Okay. So the Sangean ANT60 shortwave antenna. This antenna comes in a compact spring-loaded reel, so you only need to pull out what you need. It easily retracts so that you can quickly stow it. If you're a person that's on the go and you are monitoring, you're keeping situational awareness, you want to be able to deploy that and be able to stow it away very quickly and be back on the roll again. And this will enable you to do that. While the Texon PL880 shortwave radio comes with an attached antenna, this particular antenna is 23 feet long. The antenna that comes on the Texon is about 3 feet long, your typical radio retractable antenna. This is 23 feet long. Using the same techniques that we just talked about with the roll-up antenna, you're talking you can bring that up. You now have brought your antenna to your shortwave radio 23 feet above your head. I would say that your capabilities have just exponentially increased. You deploy it, you take the rock out of the 550 cord, you pull on your antenna side and pull the whole thing back over again, shove it in your bag, and you're gone. So when this is deployed again, I always recommend, if you're going to get a shortwave radio, get an external antenna for it. The attached antenna is okay, but it just doesn't do the radio justice for its capabilities than having an external antenna. So now we're going to move on to the HF radios. We recommend the 857D. The reason why this radio has been long recommended by AmRRON and PrepperNet is it's lightweight and compact. It's one of the smallest. At the time when it was made, it was the smallest radio out. You couldn't find there was only one other, and Yaesu made it. one other radio that was smaller. It's no more than the size of a car stereo. However, and it does have digital signal processing in it, so it does clean up the received signal a bit, so it sounds better to you. It is all modes, so it has all the capabilities of a Baofeng radio, but it also has HF capabilities. Now on UHF, this will only transmit at 20 watts. At VHF is 50 watts, and HF is a full 100 watts. The drawback to consider about this 857D radio is that the interface, it has a learning curve to it. It's not impossible to learn, but it's something you have to take the time to be able to practice with, to get a full understanding of how to use this, and to use it under duress. While you're stressed, while you're hungry, while you're cold, and you're wet, and you're miserable, is not the time to begin to learn radio, right? This radio, the interface leaves a lot to be desired. It's a very good radio, very well made. But as you can see here as well, the LCD display on it is really small. It is quite small. I recommend, personally, something like the ICOM IC7100. And the reason why I recommend this radio is for a couple of reasons. One, it has D-Star capabilities. D-Star is an international protocol that enables you through the, unfortunately, D-Star is internet independent. At some point, whether you use a reflector or a repeater, or something has to be connected to the internet for the network to work. But you can talk easily to, and the weather conditions really don't have a lot to play into it. One of the things that so the D-Star capabilities, it was built by amateurs for amateurs. We've now come on the scene with DMR. DMR was a commercial open source standard that was really initially built for commercial use. We've since learned that that there's plenty of bandwidth in it and capabilities for amateurs to use. But the one thing about the 7100 that makes it so attractive is one, it has a touch screen. Okay, as you can see here, the screen is quite larger. It's easier for you to understand. You can make use of the tactical information that's on it when you need it. And you can just tap through all your settings and get what you need on the fly. You don't have to push a series of buttons in a certain order. You just tap the screen, go, 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 and you've gotten to where you want to. One of the bigger capabilities that I like about this radio is it has an internal sound card. Okay. And that's really important. An internal sound card is one less piece of equipment you have to have in your arsenal to perform digital communications. Okay, now let me give you a little bit of background on digital communications. Digital communications will get through when voice doesn't. So when atmospheric conditions are challenging and voice is just, it's done. You just can't do it, and it does happen quite often. Digital communications work, and you only have to use a fraction of the power to broadcast out digital communications. When I use voice, I use 100 watts. When I use digital, I usually use about 40 watts, and I can get to the same destination on voice and even farther. So a very small segment of comms community has knowledge and capability to perform digital operations. So the listening audience is greatly reduced. There are going to be people out there that have an HF radio that don't really use it. They're going to be listening, and all they have to do with HF, there's nothing you have to program. They just scroll through the dial. But if you're doing digital communications, all they hear is a fax machine. Okay? And because of that, they would have to have an understanding of software like Ham Radio Deluxe or FL Digi, and then they would have to understand how it works, and then they'd have to understand what mode you're using. In digital communications, there are a couple of dozen different modes that you can use. My point is that without a whole lot of added capabilities to the radio, making it more expensive, you can ensure an added layer of OPSEC to your mag group by using digital communications. By using digital communications, you can send emails over the air without the internet. You can send text messages to cell phones across the country where maybe there's not austere conditions like there are in your AO, as well as images to provide better salute and sitrep reports to other operators in your comms network. I will say that the AmRRON organization is an excellent, I can't say highly enough, an excellent opportunity to train you using these digital communications and use it with fellow patriots and preppers. So look into that, www.amron.com, but and look more into it. But this radio here does quite a bit. And again, it's as you can see here, it has a faceplate that's detached from the box, from the main head unit. So that can prove to be quite a convenience for you. So the power supply, you need to have a minimum of whatever power supply you choose. It has to have at least 25 amps. Most ham radios, the manual will tell you that they draw 12.5 amps. Now that varies a little bit either way for each radio and depends on how much power you're using in operation, things like that. I'm just going by what the manual states. So you want to anticipate, you want one power supply to adequately power 2 radios. You may have a standalone VHF and a standalone HF. You want to have enough power to adequately, remember, if something's underpowered, it creates heat. Heat shortens the lifespan of your equipment. So the power supply, it will need to also have a consistent voltage of 13.8. Some radios allow you to fluctuate a little bit on that. In particular, this 7100 that I just mentioned, it requires 13.8 volts and it won't compromise. Okay. So it has to have an output of 13.8, and most switching power supplies out there do. Now, the reason why we recommend the 4125P is because it is the smallest power supply on the market. There's only a few that are of its size. Most are much bigger and heavier, but I have this power supply. It's very lightweight. Remember, ounces feel like pounds 20 miles down the road. And this power supply here will give you more than adequate power for the small factor is. It's about the size of, if you were to take 2 deck of playing cards and set them side by side, this power supply is just a little bit bigger than that. It's not big at all. Now, Anderson power poles, these have become the standard of power connections in ham radio. I can't say enough about using Anderson power poles, and the reason why is because it helps standardize. It helps standardize the IMCOM, ARES organizations. I can go up to that has power pole connections on this power supply. They're right up front here. If on the back of my radio I'm using these power poles, I can walk right up to this somebody else's. He's just running one radio on this. I got my radio. I don't have a power supply. I can plug directly into the face of his, and I'm ready to go. Half a second at the most, and I'm good. One of the great advantages of using power poles is that, again, they provide the quick connect capabilities, but also they help prevent electrical shocks. You're not touching, you're touching that outside plastic housing. So you never have to worry about just a little bit of your finger when it's in that power outlet shocking you. Now, the initial investment of power poles, it's not as bad, but you have to buy a crimper. Now, you may have a crimper that does other coax, and you can just buy the teeth. That's great. but most people don't. You have to buy a crimper, a specialized crimper to be able to use on these power poles, because they have to be crimped in such a way that they will slide into these plastic housings. Okay. And they come in they come in many sizes, but in ham radio, we have either 15 amp, 30 amp, or 45 amp size contacts. So for ham radio, you know, most people just stick with 30. 30 pretty much does everything they need. So you don't have to buy a lot of different sizes. But Anderson power poles have been used for quite a while. We find them in so many different industries, marine applications, first responders, fire departments, towing, things like that. They've been around a while, but they've just really come on to the scene for ham radio in the past handful of years, and we swear by them now. If you put these on each one of your radios, I would say that in your car, if you have a power lead going to your battery through the firewall with these on the end, you can unplug your radio and plug in any other radio you want on the fly and disconnect it in a second and take it in the house with you. Okay. We recommend the Buckmaster Worldwide multi-band antenna off-center fed. And the reason why is the Buckmaster brand is known for its durability and its consistency. It's a very good antenna. You can buy one and I buy one, and they're going to perform the same. They're really consistent in their manufacturing process, and that's kind of important. While these antennas will tell you, so many of these antennas will tell you that no tuner is required. That's kind of a lie. You can't have a multi-band antenna and not need a tuner. Okay, we're going to get in next to what the tuner does, but if you want to have a multi-band antenna in an SHTF scenario, because you only want to have one antenna to carry that you can use to counter band conditions. 10 meter might work today. It may not work tomorrow. You might have to go to 20 meter. One antenna does that. 10 and 20 might be bad the next day. Well, you can go to 30. You know, this antenna is going to allow you to bounce around, especially with the tuner. Okay. The problem with these off-center feds is that to get a good full range, you're talking this wire when it's uncoiled can reach upwards to 100 feet from end to end. I highly recommend end-fed. An end-fed antenna helps a lot, especially when you're in mobile applications where you may be on your feet. So, an antenna analyzer. This particular one, the reason why we recommend the 226 is because, first of all, it has a graphical interface to it. You can actually visualize with kind of like a plotting calculator you had in high school. It will kind of help you visualize what it's seeing. Once you understand what the graph is doing, it just gives you another added visualization into the data that it's providing you. So an antenna analyzer, it'll give you insight into the performance of your antenna. It'll tell you the SWRs, which is the reflected power. How much power, SWR real quick, is the amount of power leaving your radio that's not leaving the antenna, that's being held up. Because too much of that translates to heat, and heat will fry your components. You want everything your radio sends out of the radio to be sent out the antenna and not hold back anything or reflect it back. So this will help you do that. It helps you analyze your feed line, whether it be coax loss. It'll also tell you sometimes your feed line, your coax, it can get cracked and damaged, and it may get water in it. And the worst thing you want to do is hook that up and key up your radio. You're going to be in for a little bit of a surprise. So if you deploy and use your antenna analyzer, it can really help prevent a lot of problems for you. It can also tell you if the connectors on the antenna are grounding out. Okay, so having this insight into your equipment using this analyzer, it'll help you diagnose and identify problems and potential issues before you key up your radio. They can be a little bit pricey. There are some cheaper ones out there. We just recommend this one because of the added benefit of the graphical interface. I have one that doesn't have it. It uses needles and just numbers on a screen, and it's not much cheaper than this. So I think it's right under $300 for the one I have. So the antenna tuner. You can't say enough that you really need, if you're going to have an HF radio, you need to have an antenna tuner. Not so important if you have a Baofeng or the VHF, UHF side of the house. But HF, you really need an antenna tuner, especially if you're using multi-band antennas. And this is to ensure an optical signal that's coming from the radio and coming to the radio from the antenna. A lot of people have the insight or the thought that the antenna tuner is only going to help the signal leaving your radio, or the signal coming in. It actually helps both. A non-tuned circuit is not going to perform as well as a tuned one, just plain fact. So if you don't use an antenna tuner and you just throw your Buckmaster off center fed up in the air and you key up, you might be able to hear things and you may be able to transmit. You don't smell smoke, you're good to go. The problem is after a while, if you're talking what we call the duty cycle, that radio is getting hot. And if it's not tuned correctly, it's getting hotter quicker. And you want to be able to prevent that with it. It'll help extend the life of your equipment, having an antenna tuner. So with that said, I'm going to hand it back over to Forrest. He's going to talk a little bit more about the final recommendations we have. Again, Natty Green, it was great talking to you, and I hope that you found this information fruitful.
Hey, Natty, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Man, that was awesome. I hear my echo. Turn the volume down there. But, hey, that was really good. That was great. We do have a couple more slides, so don't leave yet, everyone. A couple more things we're going to go through. But, Natty, thanks for doing that. I know you're going to jump off and get on the AmRRON net.
Yeah, I've got a national training exercise on AmRRON tonight, so I'll have to leave you guys.
Okay, appreciate it, Natty.
Anytime.
Yep. So next we're going to look at the an SDR. This thing costs $30. You can get it from Amazon.com. This little device is amazing. I discovered this several years ago. I remember mentioning it to one of my city leaders, Columbia, Michael, and he has become a genius with this thing, and he is going to do a webinar for us and train us everything about this little device. It's $30, and this, again, you got to buy it, play with it, but I'm going to go just a little bit in detail of what this thing can do, but it's let's just go right into it. I won't get in there, but it's $29 from Amazon. Again, you can get all this stuff. It's probably on PrepperNet.com. There's a link, and we can get the 4%. But anyway, so this plugs into a laptop. So this can receive any radio signal that's broadcast. I'm talking any from HF all the way to gigahertz. So here's some of the things that you can receive if it's, nearby or you got the right antennas, FM, pagers. You can actually intercept pager signals that are, people still use pagers, I kid you not. Marine, satellite transmissions, amateur radio, GMRS, MERS, business, FEMA, railroads, cruise lines, listen to VHF amateur radio, NASCAR. Yeah, you can pull up near the track and listen to NASCAR. This thing receives. That's what this thing does. It just receives. It's not a transmitter. You can get the transmitters, but one of the demonstrations I showed at Prepper Camp was locking your car door. I can receive that signal. Imagine what I could do if I received that signal, what I could possibly do with a garage door opener. I can receive that. This thing, again, receives all signals. So it's pretty amazing the things it can do for $30. You can receive doorbell signals. I think I demonstrated that I could receive a doorbell signal, like your neighbors, when they hit the doorbell and it's not wired, it's wireless. And then I could retransmit that and ring my neighbor's doorbell. That's fun. Because they'll stand there and their doorbell's ringing and you're just, anyway, games I like to play. Sorry about that. You can fast food, they have the restaurants with the fast food, so you can receive all of them things. So let's go into a little bit more. Again, this thing's $30, called a SDR. So it can actually, every airplane in America, this is new technology. It's coming. So not every plane, but every plane by I think it's 2021 has to have a transponder that broadcasts in this frequency. So you can receive that. You don't need the internet. You don't need anything. You could sit with a laptop and track every single plane that is above you or around you, as long as you can get their signal. I mean, if they're 1,000 miles away, you're not going to get their signal. But you can receive their signal. You can have the map already installed on your phone, on your laptop. You can sit in the middle of the woods with a laptop and receive every signal that is around you. And then you can, this software here can plot the actual the planes, and you can track them as they go through the sky. And the information the planes they give this to the tower so they don't run into each other. So it's kind of like it's their software that keeps them safe. You can get their airspeed, their altitude, their longitude, latitude. You can get what type of plane it is. You can get a database and tell you exactly what kind of plane it is. The information is unbelievable that you can get. So quick story. President Trump came into town several months ago. I got my SDR out and I was tracking Air Force One. I think I posted that on one of the sites, but I was tracking them because they have to send the same signal. The air traffic entire network works on the signal that is broadcast from the planes. So also over the continental United States, every military plane and drone will have to have this as well. Every military plane already has this. I can track them as they go by, helicopters, and it actually plots them on a map. So that's one thing this little device can do. Again, you can get waterfalls and you can receive all the different frequencies. You can tune it in to a frequency as well and listen to it. You need different antennas for different receiving. You can also receive satellite weather information. So the satellite goes around the United States. So you got about 30 minutes from the time it hits the horizon and it goes back down, and you receive this information and it takes photos. So let's say there's an EMP hits America and one of the satellites are on the other side of the world. You will be able to be the only weatherman in America, because when that thing comes back around, you can download it, put it into a chart, and let's see what my next one is. Yep. Okay. Nope. And you can actually chart and see the clouds from the weather satellite. And again, that's broadcast free. You just learn how to download it and you can visualize it. No internet once you have it set up. That's the cool thing. And the next thing, I know Forward Observer will be happy. I'm going to do the next thing is the Uniden Home Patrol. This should be one of the main sources that you have right now to get information. This little device, they have this one. They also have a little, like a desktop version. I like this one because I want to carry it on my rig possibly as I'm walking. But this one is a scanner that scans every single frequency within your area. Frequency meaning police, medics, fire, and you know what's going on. You can hear now they're digital, they're trunk, they got all these different names. You can receive that with this. The old crystal scanners that would go back and forth, and things are gone. They're history. They're all going to new technology. This can receive the new technology. A great thing about this is once you kind of set it up, you download the information, you don't need to know the frequencies. You can just put in your zip code. Oh, zip code, like that. The zip code, and it brings all the frequencies into the scanner and scans it for you. I know Sam Kopler he loves this. And this is a great way to get information that's around you. you need to have this to know what's going on. If there's a fire down the street, if there's a mob coming down the street, there's rioting going on. When the grid goes down, the police, some of the, the police, fire, they still may have communication equipment, and you need something that's battery operated. I like the portable model like this one. It is kind of pricey. And some of these things are pricey, but you know what? Prepping is, getting prepared for the world to end is not cheap. Seriously. But everyone needs to have this. Also, as we launch things in the future and we do some, like this would have been great with a hurricane. If we had people down in, the location, they could, in the affected area, they could tell us and transmit through ham radio what is going down, down in Lumberton or Wilmington. If there's a, hurricane, they could track what the police and the medics and everyone's doing. So this a great device. I would go, if I was going to go in a number of things, because I thought through this and thought maybe it'd be dangerous to do this. I would do, first of all, I would probably get a shortwave radio that we recommended. Would probably be the first thing I would get. The number two would be the Baofeng radio. Especially if you're in groups, because that's kind of a group kind of radio. And it gives you practice to hit the repeater and talk to other people. So that's good. And it's $24. Seriously, all the accessories, you're talking $50. And then this would probably be third thing that I would get. SDR, I would get at the same time I got the Baofeng radio. So I would go again, shortwave, Baofeng, SDR, get them all set up using them. And then I would get this. And then as you learn ham with the Baofeng and you get your license, then you can move into some of the more expensive radios that can communicate around the world as well. I think that might be okay. Also, AmRRON, if we got a lot of you can go to AmRRON.com or you can go to PrepperNet.com. We have the same information. We have links to AmRRON. They're kind of our communication king. A lot of this stuff, I'm going to actually post this presentation at that link. So you'll be emailed a presentation link for a replay. You're going to get really frustrated because you can't fast forward or go backwards, or you can't start where you want to start. But by tomorrow morning, I'll have this presentation at that URL, and then it'll be on YouTube in a sense, so you can go forwards and backwards and pause it, whatever. The other one, you can't do any of that, just part of the software. And then that's it, guys. Hey, getting ready to post a giveaway on PrepperNet.com. In just a few minutes, make sure you go and register to win the conflicted stuff. Hey, again, join us at PrepperNet.com. Join us and help us get the word out. Tell other groups, spread the word. The more people we have, the bigger network we have, the more useful it is to everyone. That's about all I can say on that. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. We're going to do one of these a month. I know one of the ones I've already put together is like internet security and privacy. I've expanded. I've learned so much on that within the last couple months because I've had some, professional training me. So that's one coming up. I know the SDR, Michael is going to be putting together one on how to do the SDR and all that, because that's a learning curve as well. And hey, thanks for joining us. Join PrepperNet. Get on our Facebook. Help us get the word out. And God bless you guys. You guys have a great night. I'm out of here.